the question I've been thinking about lately is, how do you unlock your creative process? Do you need equipment? Do you need X amount of budget production dollars? Sweet. Or do you need the latest, greatest? I'm trying to catch my train. I've been thinking about this a lot. I even went to an Adobe event yesterday that talked about the concept of what does it mean to actually find your own sequence. Folks can also call it rhythm. I like to call it flow. But the general sense is that when you have figured out a sequence that allows for your creative projects to be accomplished, you stick to that sequence. When I first started out as a filmmaker, editor, I was always wondering why the older and well-experienced experts never changed to Adobe Premiere or even DaVinci Resolve until years later. They weren't early adapters. And I realized that they weren't early adapters because of two things. The learning curve for a new production, high quality editing software was going to take a long time for them to understand, and which if they're taking time to learn a new process or program, they're not spending time working, aka creating. And then the other thing was all their sequence, all their rhythm, all their flow was developed through another software. And so for them to adapt a very similar sequence but to using a new program, it could take months. I have realized that in order for me to create consistently, it's not that I'm not creating. I have a lot of things that I've created. It's just, it's all stuck in post-production. I always find myself in this place where I get so excited about an idea, and so I plan it out, I script it out, I go through the whole production sequence, and then I get stuck on post-production. Why do I get stuck on post-production? Well, it's pretty simple, right? Time is very short. I cannot devote a lot of time to post-production work for my own things because, number one, I have to allocate time to work, and then number two, work as clients. That's what I mean by work. Job, what allows me to sustain and exist in a world where money is a valuable tool. Anyways, another thing that I realized is that the lack of proper scheduling. I know that at work, when things are picking up, if I have a really intense project, the tight deadline, I almost have to drop everything to focus on that, because that's really, really important. Making sure that the team that I'm working with, They know that I am 100% committed to the work. I don't see this as an excuse. I don't. I see this as life, and how do I navigate through this flow of life as a creative, and really wanting to put my stuff out there, but not feeling as if I have the proper tools or time to really devote to releasing a product that actually makes me happy. I wanted to show you visually of how I decide or how I devote time to certain projects. And moving forward, because I heard this conversation yesterday at the Adobe event by Robert Craig III, it's given me more things to think about in my own creative process. So let me show you. We have our pre-production. And then in here, we have our lighting. We have our idea, aka story. We have our camera choices, location, and just everything else that you need to make sure that production, which is the next part, production is successful. So for production, obviously we have like everything we decided that we need to make the story. That's when the production starts. A lot of this, honestly, it's like a date. Shooting schedule on, and then after that we go through post-production. Now this is where all the magic happens. So I would say this is the emotional, and then putting together the story. And finally, but not least, we have the posting/publish. Now, when I look at this production in lineup, right, from an idea, pre-production to production to post-production, to the publishing, I want to get here as fast as possible. And based on like everything I was talking about earlier, for me, where I get stuck on is this area. So I have tons of projects that are in post-production. And what I've realized is that I'm not setting enough time for me to do all these things so I can get to here the quickest. I'm going to do another video that explains how I choose different cameras, or even like location wise, so that I can get here the fastest. And I realize for me right now is that I have to create a timeline that accurately reflects what I have to do to get to here. And so a lot of times I would say, well, this project, say if I'm doing like say if I'm working on this video, like this video has taken me, I want to say like a total like maybe 3 hours. And where did most of the hours get spent? The most of the hours got spent here in production. I ended up filming some stuff and it didn't turn out the way I wanted to shoot it, and so I ended up shooting it again. But I'm going to be editing this a little bit so I can get to here. So when I give myself a realistic timeline with an accurate time stamp, I'm able to say, all right, if this is going to take me 3 hours, based upon the time that I have to devote to this project right now. In 3 hours, I will devote, say, 1 hour and 30 minutes in the pre-production stage. It's like getting the story right, the lighting, location choice, and my shot list. Like this, if I would tell anyone to spend more time, is to spend time here, number one, in pre-production. And then the second place to spend time, I would say, obviously, is production, number two. So if it's 1 hour and 30 here, and so I want to spend, say, an hour here. And then for editing, depending on how much graphics I have to actually do, then I might end up adding additional 4 hours to this project, because I want to spend at least 2 hours working on the post-production. So 2 hours. Yeah, this is what I've been doing for the last couple months. It's been very helpful. I don't always reach my goal of making the post a certain date or time that I want to release something, but I think that this has helped contextualize just the production schedule for me, for my own projects. When I'm working on bigger projects with my clients, then I have something very similar, but it's very different. Very, very different. It actually goes way more into detail and involves a lot of the other people in order to get the filming correct. And so right now, this is kind of the lineup that I have that's helping me create my own content. I'm gonna eventually release this as like a high graphical PDF if you're interested. This is pretty much it. All right, that's it. I hope this was helpful for you, and I will see you in the next one. Till when I say the next one, ciao.